Hello, KFC SuperCoaches. It's round 13, the first big bye. We've got so much to talk about, and Rob Sutherland is here. What is the biggest issue facing your side this week?
That I scored 1,359, and yet you outscored me, Thomas.
Yeah, I finally had a good week.
We both finally had good weeks.
Mate, I had some battlers in there like Jareen Buller getting tons for me, so it all went... not a battler, sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Tough on the kid.
I didn't want to play him, and then he ended up getting a ton, is what I want to say.
Well, congratulations. Biggest issue for me is whether to nick Arima or not. That's my biggest trade.
Right,
sort of
so
decision.
Look, I mean, it's not a trade that I'd be doing, to be honest. He's a mid-range guy. I hate mid-range money makers, to be honest. So why are you going there?
You're right. 480k. You think maybe the upside is to get to 600, so it's not great. But like he scored 75 against the Sharks. He scored 97 against the Storm. He's just in good form. He's playing well. His base is around 35 as a 5/8. You know, that's awesome. Good bye coverage. I don't like that he's gone to fullback.
Yeah. I was going to say you don't care about him at fullback.
I don't like it at fullback. He had 3 games at fullback for Souths last year. 2 full-time, 1 like 65 minutes. He averaged about 40, but 20 of that, like 15 of that came in kicking. He was goal kicking in those 3 games as well.
Right,
so, look, it's not great, but he's a different guy than the guy he was when he was at South last year. He's a different player. He's in different form. He's a different team. He's got the Wayne Bennett polish. I've hated the Dolphins going well because I haven't had a single bloody Dolphin, right? But I'm buying in Osako. I'm buying in Nick Arima. I'm all in on Wayne Bennett. The master coach, the super coach, is good for Supercoach now.
Halfway through the season, you're finally getting on a couple of Dolphins.
I was also told to keep it sharp, and we haven't even got past the first line. Sorry, Tom.
My biggest issue, look, Nick Arima is not for me, mainly because I already have really good 5/8s in, and I don't need to fix that position. And Hooker's okay as well. So I've already...
Who's your backup hooker?
Sonny Luke. I don't want to sell. Yeah, but I can to go up to him is costing me a lot of money.
Yeah.
When I sell someone down.
I'm going Katoa over to Nick Arima. Anyway.
My biggest issue is Tohu Harris. So I've owned him already this year. I hate bringing in guys who got injured and stuffed me around in Supercoach, and then I'm bringing him back in. I think he probably is the best buy this week. When he plays big minutes, and he's got a bit of attack in him with the ball playing and the try assists. But he's been injured already this year. He's carrying an ongoing knee issue. I feel like this could be a drama later on this season.
Healthy Tohu's a 70-point player.
Yes, but he can just get pulled out of that team at any moment.
Well, only if he's hurt, and
even if he's carrying a bit of soreness, it's like, no, Tohu, you're gone. We'll save you for this particular round later on.
Okay, don't get it. I am. I'm swallowing my pride this week as well. I'm bringing Hopgood back.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another one that I don't want to talk about, but we will at some stage. Let's pimp your teams. Send through your questions on Facebook and YouTube, guys. We'll get to them in a sec, and certainly your zingers as well. If you come up with a good sledge, this will pop up on the screen. While we're waiting for some questions, there we go, zinger of the week. While we're waiting for some questions, let's do the burning issues. Right, Dolphins v Dragons tonight. Dragons back. Dolphins are in good form. The main thing with the Dragons... or breaking news with the Dragons-ish, is that Jack Bird has been cleared. He's certain to play. I brought him in last week. He's got a little bit of attack in him. I know the Dragons don't have too much, but the base is where it's at for me. So you're looking at, with base and base attack, you're looking at 50s, and then he's averaging in the low 60s. I've got him at back row for now, but I'll eventually get him down to the centre wing, and low 60s at centre wing is keeper areas.
The base was better when he was playing 13. I thought when Laurie went down, I thought, yes, DeBellin will have to be left at prop and Bird will slot into 13. But I'm not so... the base isn't as good when he's on that edge. It's still okay. It's good for a centre wing. And he gets more attack when he's on an edge. So I bought him a few weeks ago. I was pretty happy. I was a bit bummed he missed last week. Worked out okay. I think brought in Black, scored roughly the same. I think he's a good get.
Jack DeBellin. So I ended up getting him last week. I had some moral misgivings for getting him in, but I had Jack Bird in the team, and Jack Bird got ruled out. And then at the last minute, about 15 minutes to go before lockout, I had to change the trade, and it was either Hopgood or DeBellin. And look, when it's 15 minutes to go before lockout, all your moral compass goes out the window. The kids are yelling at you. I'm like, yep, Jack DeBellin, you're in. And look, it makes a lot of Supercoach sense to get Jack DeBellin.
Yeah, I understand. You don't have teams you support in Supercoach, and you don't have morals in Supercoach, and that is what it is. I'm not putting Jack DeBellin in my team. He's going very well.
Yeah, look, it wouldn't have happened if Jack Bird didn't get ruled out, that's for sure. The other option I had was Jermaine Hopgood, who I think is an awesome buy this week, particularly with the injuries at the club with Maddo, Sean Lane, etc. Barlow's out this week as well through Origin. But next week is going to be so tough, and if I bring in Hopgood, I could be short next week.
What I looked at this week with my trades, Nicarima aside, that's a little bit of a cash play and a gamble, was just who are the best players that I don't have that I can have. And I think... sorry, I made a blank when that came up. Hopgood. I think Hopgood is like the second or third best second row in the game at the moment on average, and that's enough for me. Same with the Sarko as the other guy I'm bringing in. He's the second or third centre wing. That's enough for me. So I'm just trying to get the best players I can.
This is a Sarko here. Look, I can't do it. He's going so well this year.
Yeah.
That at that price, can he keep it up? And my answer is no. So I'm not gonna pay the cash for him. But it's one of those ones that look, I can see why you're doing it.
Yeah.
He's going so well, but can he keep it up? I think it's actually good that he's been kept on the wing this week.
Yeah.
Because that's probably a better position for him for Supercoach. Plus he's kicking goals. But he's just going so well and so above what he's done in the past that law of averages says that he just doesn't keep scoring tries.
I take that on board. I do. I would accept it more with, say, Nicarima and 3-game average is very, very high. But, like, this is 11 games now from Asako. He's got over 100 3 times. He's only had 3 bad games, and they were only 40s. It was like a 48 and 2 44s. If you put his base and his kicks together, that's 40 points. Now, that's centre wing keeper material. So, I'm chasing the herd a little bit, and I'm paying a lot more than everyone who got him early did. But sometimes, this is my swallow my pride round. Tommy, last week...
It seems like it happens every week.
No, last week was where I said, no, that's it. I'm going with the veterans, right? I'm sticking with Teddy. I'm sticking with Turbo. I stuck with Murray. That didn't work, so he's going. But the Teddy and Turbo paid off.
Questions coming in from Tony. Thoughts on selling David Fafita and then bringing him back after Origin? Is this burning a trade? For me, I think Fafita probably... They want him to back up at the Titans, given that Titans aren't going too well. And I don't agree with selling Origin players this year, given that it's the best 13 rule, and then you've got the best 17 on the weeks after when players are backing up. Those weeks are almost harder than the bye weeks themselves this year.
Correct. And he's playing more of an impact role for the Maroons here. He's not coming out and playing 80 minutes in the middle or something. So, a guy that's got 400s and he can score explosively. So he can play 60 minutes and still score 80, So, the Titans need him, right? This isn't a team that's sitting at the top of the table and sitting pretty. This is a coach who's playing for his, coaching for his career. I'd hold Fafita and play him.
Alex Bennett is asking, JMK, is he a better buy than Asako?
Oh, than
that's
Asako.
That's the way I went. But look, I don't like JMK as a buy because I don't want to sell Harry Grant. But having said that, I think he is the best replacement for Harry Grant if you want to go that way. And better than Damien Cook, who a lot of people are going for this week.
Exactly. He's 10% better than Damien Cook. He's averaging 67 and Cook's averaging 61. Yep. He's also not one injury away from Origin like Damien Cook is. If Coruscant goes down, I do believe Cook's ahead of Blake Brayley and Reece Robson, even though he didn't get picked. So for those reasons alone, I think JMK's a good get. Is JMK better than Asako? Look, I'm going to say no.
Different.
He's more reliable. You know, I think they've got the same average, pretty much 67 and 68, something like that. But you know, Osaka's got those 100-point games in him, and I don't think JMK really does unless something special happens. So,
So there is some chat floating around that Brenko Lee limped off at training. Well, he did limp off at training on Monday, which is a long time before the game. So that could mean that Valence Tafare comes into the side at centre. One of the hot cheapies of Supercoach a few weeks ago could come into that starting team at centre. But Brenko Lee has survived the 24-hour cut, so you'd think it's edgy at best.
Plus, even if he does, right, that's only his second game. So you're not, and then maybe he goes out because it does seem that he's not on the outer, right? He's not there yet, in Wayne Bennett's opinion. So would I rush to get him this week, even if he plays this week? No, I'd still wait.
No, and the mastermind said on the show on Tuesday that Wayne Bennett is on the record saying he doesn't want him to play more than 10 games this year. He named him on the bench this week, so a fair few of those could be off the bench too. So I don't think we're going to see a decent cheapie, unfortunately, in Valence Tafare, even though he's a cult hero and I just love watching him play.
Underrated, the mastermind. Well worth following.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Friday night footy.
Rocking out.
With the
I like that
crazy sting. Speaking of rock, we lost a legend today in Tina Turner. Rock and roll legend, rugby league legend, absolute icon. Here we go. What a time for rugby league
it was. I can't help but want to make that the late male comment.
No, you can't say that. That was a complete off-air comment.
Look, I remember Tina Turner. I remember the ads. I'm here because I'm the old bastard.
How old were you when the Tina Turner ads came out, by the way?
Jeez, when did they come out? 1990? Was it?
90, it was. I know that the single was released in 92, so it was 92, somewhere around there.
92, I was in year 12. That gives you an idea.
Oh, dear. Yeah. It was perfect moment in my childhood around then when the Winfield Cup was floating around.
You were still sucking on the Winnies as a child. It was a great...
As a 6-year-old.
It was a Rothmans medal. It was a good time.
Let's chat Eels v Cowboys. Only one game on the Friday night tonight. Dylan Brown is obviously a popular purchase this week. Definite vice-captain option and definite captain option as well. 3 tons in the last month. So he's gone from being... I know a while ago we were saying the problem with Dylan Brown is that he's good every week, but he's not great. And then since then, he got 3 tons.
Yeah, it's nice that Dillbags listens to the show, took it on board and really lifted his performance. I'm going to conflate these, Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses being popular, all right? So Dylan Brown, the VC, and Mitch Moses, a popular pick. I'll come back to Moses' sort of stats and why I think he's maybe not the good pick. But this issue is, I know the Cows are coming off a shellacking from the Tigers, and so you could argue they're in terrible form, and possibly they are. But the Eels are missing like their entire forward pack. Now, at some point, that has to impact, the playmakers. So, Dylan Brown is still a good play. He's possibly a VC. But doesn't that worry you a little?
Yeah, definitely. So, I've got Cody Walker and Dylan Brown at 5'8", and I won't be... That means I can only captain one of them, or VC one of them. So, I'll be captaining Cody, which means I can't do the VC on Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if I could do it, I'd still chuck the VC on him.
Yeah, for all my negatives, this is the team, the Cowboys, that just gave up like 155 points to the West Tigers.
With 4 players out due to Origin as well, so they're quite depleted.
Yeah, they're depleted too. But, you have to think they get a little bit of kick in the arse and come back a bit better than that. And I think the forward pack's an issue. So just to Mitch Moses, I will add, he's a very popular buy and possibly the best halfback get this week. But... he scored 17 the week after he scored 147 against the Knights. So he comes into this game with a BE of 87. There's excuses. It was against the Titans where he scored 17. He had to leave for an HIA, so he only played 68 minutes or something in that game. But he is a guy that can put in a 30-point game, right? Like the attack can go away from him and it can go down the left with Brown and Gutho. I think he's a bit of a trap. He doesn't play 14. I think he's a trap.
Francis is saying the way the Cows got carved up in the middle last week, Hop God returns with a double this week. Look, I love Hopgood. I just can't fit him in. Make sure you do your maths for next week. I'm going to buy Hopgood in round 15. I think he's a keeper. I'm going to swallow my pride and keep him till the end of the year from here. But it has to be in round 15 because I'll be short next week if I buy him this week.
And Lolo's going to play this week. I think in the middle. He's there on his 22, bench, so keep an eye. That'll stiffen him up a fair bit.
Cheese to who?
Well,
I'd say JMK is the best buy in that position ahead of Damien Cook, but the crowd is saying Damien Cook this week.
Or Nicarima, and if you want to, sort of ride the third rail, touch the third rail, hold on and hope that he makes some cash. Yeah.
Yep, fair enough. And Ryan Madison. So the word on him, round 16, he's back. So it's a big blow for people who got on as an Origin purchase, but equally it's very good for Hopgood.
I heard he could have been back earlier, but he didn't want to pay the physio fees.
There we go. I'll just take some questions.
Do I get a zinger for that? No?
Oh, no. Yeah, I reckon we do get a zinger for that. It was very subtle as well. I reckon there's some people out there who wouldn't actually understand that joke. Daniel Redmond. Oh, wait. Payne Haas. Is he a trade to bring in Cody Walker this week? Cody Walker's expensive.
Cody is expensive.
You needed to get on a few weeks ago with Cody.
I'm hoping to get to Cody with my Nico money. Like, that's my climb. Or Munster, I don't care. One of the two to back up Dylan Brown. But it's a lot of money. And I think he'll miss Latrell.
Exactly. And, Payne Haas is just so good in that front row position that I won't be selling over Origin. That's for sure. And the Broncos have shown in the past that they're pretty keen to back him up and play him for decent minutes as well.
And he can play big minutes. Yeah. It's just a machine.
Yep, absolute machine. Late mail. Right, so we got Jack Bird cleared for tonight's game. There is some chat floating around that Valence Tafare might come into that team in the starting centre spot, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Campbell Graham. Let's chat about him. So 18th man for Origin, but couldn't train at the start of the week. So by the sounds of it, the Blues dumped him, but he still could be available for the Rabbitohs this weekend.
South Sydney.
So there's a little bit of drama.
South Sydney are very keen, right, to get the narrative on this story. I don't know if you're a keen consumer of NRL news, you would have noticed that the vibe was that Campbell Graham kind of walked out on the Blues. He's like, I'm not going to be 18th man, I'm going to go play for my club, right? And then Souths have been pushing to every single journo that they have the number of. No. The Blues dropped him because he couldn't train, right? It is not Campbell Graham walking out. And I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not going to say it.
I mean, 18th man is so much more important than it used to be in previous seasons with the concussions, etc. It's a legit position in rugby league now. You wouldn't want to walk out on that because there is a decent chance not only that you'll come into that team and maybe start if there's a really late injury, but also that during the game, if a bunch of people get head knocks, you'll actually go on the field. You wouldn't want to be giving that up.
On that basis, right, then maybe it's true, right, that the Blues said, look, if you can't train and learn our systems, then we're going to put you out. But they don't really do systems in Origin. Like it's just give it to the big kid and let him play, right? Like it's not team club complicated.
You've got some serious Campbell Graham bias as well because I think he's probably your favourite player in rugby league right now.
I super rate him, and I think it's a disappointment that he wasn't picked. And yes, I think he probably should have been picked ahead of Turbo. But this isn't what we're talking about here. I agree that it's a big thing for him to walk out. I also think the 18th man probably, wherever possible, should be picked from a team that's on a bye. I think it's a bit silly.
Yeah, 100%. But I reckon Campbell Graham should have played centre, Turbo on the wing. Turbo should still be in the team, but I think he'll be more valuable on the wing for them,
ahead of Addo Carr.
Yeah,
it'd fit, right?
Barely played.
Because Turbo doesn't play wing, but I mean, Addo Carr doesn't play the side that Freddie's going to play him, and Toto doesn't play the side like Freddie.
And he's only one game back from injury as well.
I agree. But if Gerbo's out, then Addo Carr's a great glue guy.
Ryan Madison back in round 16.
Back to SuperCoach.
As I mentioned,
sorry.
Jackson Ford is definitely going to play. So he's a big in. Missed the last 2 weeks with a concussion and then the bye, but he's a big in for this week. How long are you thinking of holding him for?
Oh, I sold him ages ago.
You've sold it? Yeah.
He plays great. He's running Nickera-like lines. He's beautiful lines.
But he doesn't cover the next big buy, so I think I'll be selling pretty soon after this for him. Yeah. And then Adam Reynolds, it's important that he plays for the Broncos because if they don't have him, they don't have Reece Walsh, they don't have a bunch of Origin players, so they really want to get him on the field with that neck and concussion.
Hard to play without your captain coach.
Captain coach. There you go. Let's do guilty pleasure. This is the player that you shouldn't pick, but your heart is just telling you to go there. Who is it this week? Nickera.
It's best 13. There is no guilty player. I'm guilty. I don't have 13. I've got 12.
Nickera is surely a bit of a guilty
if I had to pick one, is a good... where I'm feeling guilty, it's not a pleasure. I'm dropping Joey Manu. I held Joey Manu last week. I'm like, nah, he's going to come good. It'll be a great hold. I'm getting rid of him, and I'm getting rid of Cam Murray. I feel super bad. Yeah, there's no loyalty in SuperCoach.
I think my guilty pleasure is probably Jack Bird. It doesn't quite make sense. He's
Jack
from the
Dragons is
Dragons.
your guilty pleasure.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to mention that too much.
Okay. Right.
So I'm going with Jack Bird.
All right.
The Dragons, I'm a Dragons fan, and the Dragons are not good. So owning too many Dragons is not great. The bye schedule after this isn't great as well. So it is a bit of a guilty pleasure on Bird, but the dual position gets it over the line for me.
On Jack Bird, right, as a Dragons fan, can I ask you this? When the narrative was being put out by the club around Jack de Belin being made captain, right, the way it was leaked out and pushed out to journos is they had no other options, right? There was no other experienced players. Moses Mbai's not going to be on the field that long, and Jack Bird just couldn't possibly do it. And I'm like, can we circle back to that? So why is Jack Bird completely unable to captain the club?
I don't know. That didn't make that comment terrible. Didn't make sense to me either.
Because he would be the most entertaining captain since David Clemmer, right? To go up to the referee and just be screaming in their face, and the referee says, "Go," and he goes, "Don't have to. I'm the captain." It'd be awesome.
The only one better than Clemmer and Jack Bird would probably be Josh Reynolds.
You'd have to get interlocutory because you'd have to have someone in between because it'd be
even when he's not captain, he's getting in trouble over something. Let's take some questions. We've got Daniel Redman asking, is Marju a buy now that he's bottomed out in price, but he doesn't play next week? That's the crucial factor here. You have to do your numbers for next week. I own Marju and I'm holding, but I wouldn't be getting on this week.
No, I'd wait. Yeah.
With the buy, but it could be a great purchase for somewhere around round 15. Valentine Holmes for Tohu Harris via Jules. You selling Val?
Oh, I don't need him.
I think
I've got.
You've got a guy you can't even remember the name.
I've got the winger, Kyle Felt. Kyle Felt, my drunk buy. I've got him. I don't need Val.
Felt versus Valentine Holmes.
Mate, the scores have been almost in line. He's done his job. He's on his way out. No, I think it's a good trade.
Let's chat.
This has been a loose show, I tell you.
Let's chat cheapie of the week. So Trent Copeland writes our cheapie Bible each week. He has Josh Schuster as the number one cheapie for this round. It's hard to argue. I have to agree. So many try assists and this try over the weekend. Looks like he's got himself into a bit of shape after getting a serious rev up from the club. I know 42% of people already own him, but if you don't, would you be getting on?
I would. Played very well. Unfortunately, on my bench.
Yeah.
Biggest concern out of that game was that 2 days later he came out and said, I'm going to become, I'll be the greatest player in NRL history. Jesus Christ, Josh, it was one game, bro. One game. You got dropped because your head was so big, it was like a bobblehead and couldn't be supported even with the very large base that he built for it, right? And then he has one good game and comes out, he's like, oh, no, I'm a genius. And Cherry Evans is the greatest player I ever played with and I really like him. It's like, Cherry Evans roasted you, mate. You know why he roasted you? Because your head was too big. Like, do it twice before you come out and say you're going to be the best player in the NRL.
We definitely need to get that clipped up for TikTok. That's for sure. That's gonna set TikTok alight. That one.
Oh, I doubt it. Old man rants. Just be people putting like The Simpsons, you know.
Billy Smith. So obviously not a buy for this week, but I still want to get your thoughts on him because he was the cheapie of the week last week. Then he played really good for 2 games. Then had an absolute Barry over the weekend. So
well, he had plenty of company, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it was tough opposition too. It's not the opposition as that it was at Cogra Oval, that's where the boys fire up.
Right, okay.
It just takes them to another level.
I just argue it was time. You know, you can't win 13 in a row, not Anzac games. Every dog has its day. Billy Smith didn't have a great game, but I wouldn't be selling. Would I be buying this week? No, I wouldn't do that either. Would I buy next week? Oh, let's see how injuries pan out.
I'm going to take a question. Is Asako a buy and keeper for the rest of the season? I'll put that to you.
I think so.
Yep. Yeah. I just don't see how he can keep it going, to be honest. Damo is saying thoughts on Offahengawe this week. It's crossed my mind. Is that the new club? It's starting straight away at the Eels.
Yes.
What's he at for?
Oh, I'm not sure, but you've got to think in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, he's just the backup prop to Barlow and Campbell Gillard. I assume Campbell Gillard's back in about 3. I'm not sure, but I think it's around
it's around 17 or 18 or something.
At which point he loses a lot of value. I don't think he outs Hopgood as lock, so yeah.
And Anthony's asking Peachy to Bird. I'm doing that trade. I've got that locked in this week. I think that Tungor will be back in round 14 from that pectoral injury, which means Peachy is probably out of that side or maybe to 14. So I think this is the week to sell Peach. Yeah,
look, I don't hate it as a move, but I'll be holding Peach until it happens.
Yeah, no, fair enough. He has been going very well. Captaincy this week. It's finally open with no Nicho Hynes playing this round. Let's do Cope's captains. So looking purely at the percentages, Nicho Hynes is still captain in 26% of teams.
Loyalty.
So a lot of people obviously haven't picked their teams yet. So you've got to take these numbers with a grain of salt. Dylan Brown is very popular though. So you'd expect that Brown takes a lot of those Hynes numbers and goes up to, he's at 22 now. So you'd expect him to maybe come in at about 35, 40% captaincy. He'd be the most popular, but plays pretty early in the round. You get 2 genuine cracks this week, given it's best 13, and you probably only have right on 13 or less. So I'd be tempted VC, if you can, on Dylan Brown, and a C on someone later in the week.
I'm probably going VC on Hopgood. At least that's what I did before I came into the show, telling myself that it was a good, consistent, reliable pick. He's not like a massive 180 upside guy. But you know, if he gets 110, I'll probably just take it.
Yeah, you'd easily take 110 this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd take 90 this week, I reckon.
Garrick's
this round, given that Garrick's a decent captaincy option too. I've got Cody Walker.
Actually,
pretty
Sarko,
late in the
I've
round.
now bought a Sarko. I think I'll go with Sarko. After talking him up.
It's going to be Cody Walker for captain for me, but then I'm actually going to go a safe vice captain in Tohu Harris.
Yeah.
I don't think you don't need to do these crazy VCs this week where you have to have a massive upside guy who gets 150 this week, given that in my case I've only got 13 on the dot. I actually get a free shot at the vice captain loophole, so you can go 2 safe guys if you want, or 1 safe guy. You know, like it's a different week. Let's take some questions. Greg Marzu as captain. It's crossed my mind.
You know who
definitely has.
I think
last game of the round at home for them.
If I had him, and I'm not buying him, but I've got him in my wife's team, Kalen Ponga.
You've got a wife, so let's not.
I do, and she's on heavy medication, so the trades this week are fun.
Wow. So, look, I mean, you can't win the cash anyway. So,
no.
So you may as well have 2 teams. Oh, dear. Bird versus Jack de Belin as a trade-in this week. What are your thoughts?
De Bellin's safer.
They've both got dual position. So
Yeah,
they're
but
both pretty
Bird's
valuable.
centre wing is really useful. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think-
as a straight up head to head, De Bellin's a better player for SuperCoach.
For SuperCoach, but the positioning, I think that Bird is more valuable at centre wing.
As your fifth centre wing?
If you can get
for
him
sure.
there, rather than carrying another guy at prop or second row like De Bellin, when there's other guys in that spot who can do exactly the same.
Yeah.
My opinion, a Dragon for VC. If you're going to go a Dragon tonight as VC.
Would have been
it's
Blake
probably
Laurie, but he's
Blake
out.
Laurie, yeah, on that captaincy chat, he was going to be the captain.
Yeah.
It was either
Lomax.
going to be him or Sewer, and then they were both
went out,
injured,
yeah.
so it went to De Bellin.
I'd go Lomax, just for the hell of it.
If you own Lomax, which a lot of people don't. Ponga for captain. Look, if you own Ponga and I don't, the only reason I'm not bringing him in is that I'd have to sell someone pretty good to get him. And my 5/8s are really set with Brown and Walker. And fullback is going okay as well with Buller, going to make some more money. Plus I've got Teddy there. So I don't want to sell any of those guys. So no Ponga for me this week, but I'm worried about it. I think he could go nuts.
Look, he could, but I just can't get Ponga when it was a reasonably innocuous, sort of head issue, and he spent 10 minutes or 12 minutes off. He came back and he was fine by all accounts, but it's too scary. I just can't do it.
One more question. Mohammed's asking, is Munster carrying an injury that could rule him out later? He's got a rib injury that he's carrying into Origin. So that he is one of these guys. They've got a 5-day turnaround, so it's long. It's the longest you can get. But equally, the Storm won't risk him if he gets a little knock to that rib in Origin.
The fact that Pezzat's injured possibly suggests he's more likely to back up, but even then he might not play big minutes. Just please do not put Harry Grant back in the halves like they did last year in a disastrous experiment. That did not go well.
Well, that is it for our Game Day podcast round 13. Hopefully you can get a full 13 on the park this round. Big thanks to Rob. We'll catch you next week for the Teams podcast, 5 p.m. on Tuesday. See you then.